Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Pridebuzz TV. I'm CJ.
And I'm Princess.
And I'm Skyye.
And I'm Samaya. I'm going to throw out the topic for today. It is not your typical trans male. And since the ball is in my court, I want to go ahead and address this question to Skyye. And this is coming a little bit from a personal perspective. I remember when we were first introduced, you mentioned that you were a trans male that's mixed race. So you're mixed with what and what?
I am mixed with Mexican and Black. That's the short version.
Okay. Do you feel like that a lot of times when we in our community, when we hang out with people or we just find other people of the LGBTQ plus community, do you feel like you are 100% accepted by whichever, it's like I see a split in races when it comes to, especially when I was living in Jackson, Mississippi, I seen a split between a lot of white people would hang out or lighter skinned people would hang out. I would call it that because everybody there wasn't just straight up white. And then you see the Black people going to a certain club. Do you feel like you fit in one way better or the other, or did it matter?
When it comes to the race thing, I don't really have a specific group of people that I get along better with. I get along well with everyone. I fit in well with everyone because I'm so diverse in my own self, as far as from the music that I listen to the shows that I watch, to my activities. They're hardly in any one particular race that would accept all of it. So I am really spread out amongst all of those. It doesn't matter, white, Black, Asian, Mexican, it's all the same. I can say that being a trans male, I don't feel like I fit in to the LGBTQ, even though we have a letter in it. I still don't feel like I fit in it. I get a lot of discrimination from mainly the women, the lesbians, mainly them, biggest discriminators. Usually the gay guys, they're pretty accepting, but no, I don't really feel like I really belong with the rest of the LGBTQ crew.
Have you experienced, when it comes to transitioning, I guess to say, the acceptance before or after, or has it made a difference, either or?
Well, at this point, I haven't started any hormones or anything. It is really hard right now getting people to accept the fact that I need my pronouns. Because when they look at me, I still have a feminine body. So automatically, first thing comes to their mind is she, her, But then when I tell them, oh, no, I'm trans male, I prefer he and him, then, it's not easy. It's every day is like a new struggle, like all day, every day. It feels like being poked at with little pins all day, every day. Every time someone slips up, or every time someone doesn't even try, every time someone says, oh, you're not a man, you still got titties, like all of that, it's like all day, every day.
I can understand that, being accepted first and foremost when it comes to being a lesbian. I definitely understand that. And I guess to say, when it comes to me being a lesbian, I can say when it comes to you, before, after, regardless of your transition, coming from me, I accept you, period, because you're a person. That's the biggest thing. That's the first thing that matters most, is that you're a person. Regardless of where you are or how someone chooses to classify you, you're a person. Fuck all the rest of it. You're a person. And, I apologize on behalf of the lesbians that have, did anything wrong, or however you want to put it, towards you, because at the end of the day, the pronoun that you choose is the pronoun that you choose. When it comes to support from family, how does that work with you in your process? How does that, I guess, make a difference for you?
Got off to a rocky start. I do understand. I'm 34 years old, so all of my family for the last 34 years of my life and their life, they've known me as female and their sister or their daughter or their niece or their aunt. So I do understand that it's not something you could just wake up and the next day all of a sudden it's your brother, your son, your uncle, or your nephew. I do understand that part. But the first couple of months, first few months, it was a hard time getting them to even try. But I can't say that now. More and more, they are coming around, and I'm hearing she and her a lot less. I'm hearing my dead name a lot less. I'm really grateful for that.
Awesome. So let me see something. I want to just pivot briefly because I wanted to get into another topic where probably a lot of people will have questions about. And I had this thing, this combative thing on Facebook a while ago where I tried to tell people gender identity was not the same thing as sexual orientation or sexual identity. How do you identify sexually? I
identify as a heterosexual.
Awesome. And that's perfect. So now I want to see if you can expound on that. Considering you pretty much, you identify as a heterosexual, so that our viewers know you're saying that you identify as a straight male.
Yes, that is true. I identify as a heterosexual male.
All right. Now, with that being said, I wanted to ask you another question. Now, this may be considered a trick question. Could you ever see yourself banging a gay guy?
Yes. And that is kind of odd.
So maybe you're a pansexual male.
But see, I could see myself having sex with a gay guy, with me being the giver and him being the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, especially when the booty is nice and plump, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yes.
So it is what it is. So so at that point, if you were to ever consider, or if you were to ever engage in something like that, you'll be considered as being on the down low.
No, because I wouldn't hide it. But then that's another thing. It's not something that I go out and look for. It's not something that I would say, you know what, I want to have sex with the dude today. That's something that's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Shit, I'm just doing this and doing that. And it just came about. Like, I have had sex with a trans before, a trans female.
I was just going to ask you that. How you feel
I've had sex with a trans female. In some people's eyes, they'll be like, oh, you just had sex with a dude. But in my eyes, she was female. You know what I'm saying? So I had sex with a trans female. Now, as far as like a straight up gay dude who just lives his life as a gay dude, that's a bit much. I don't know. I'm not going to say that I wouldn't, because, I mean, sex. But it's not something that would be an everyday or often thing. It would probably just be one of those experimental things, like I just want to do it, just say I did it type thing, you know?
Right. I think that everybody goes through a phase like that, or they want to try something like that, where we all have something that we've experimented with, either whether it's eating a lollipop that has a worm inside of it, or
sounds like that.
Right, yeah, it sounds like the tequila pop. So I'm just saying, like, I think that we all experiment with something. So I can't judge you based on what you're willing to experiment with. Samaya, did you have another question for Skyye right now?
Yes, I wanted to know if do you have any friends that are trans, men or women? Do you feel like you have a support group on that end, or you just pretty much just winging it on your own on that, you know, getting any kind of, you know, like, you know how you talk to people that kind of going through the same thing that you're going through?
Yeah, as far as someone in my actual real life that I could just call or hang out with, no, I don't have any trans friends, be it trans male or trans female. I don't have any of that. But I do have a couple of groups on Facebook where I have a couple of trans friends, and I mean that by they're people that I actually talk to on Facebook outside of the group. Like, we message every once in a while. I have a friend, his name is Alexander. He's like really great, good. He's a really great dude. I met him on a group, and every once in a while we chatted up. He was going through some things with his girl. I was talked to him through that. You know, I was going through some things at one time, and he talked with me through that. As far as trans women, the only trans women I know from these groups are the ones I've been trying to holler at.
I have a question though. When it comes to your transitioning, once you get started, how do you feel when it comes to, I guess, your struggle with healthcare? Because a lot of healthcare is, some is supportive, some is not. How do you plan to pay for your transition?
I have been doing some research on how to pay for it. I've done research on how much it would cost on my own out of pocket, and what kind of insurance I could possibly try to get that would actually help. I have found quite a few insurances that will cover the transition from start to end. I have found those. They're a little bit more pricey than the other insurances, but then I'm not that big in a rush, because I haven't 100% decided if I will transition physically. I have a lot of issues within myself about my faith and my lifestyle, so I battle. On one end, I feel like the transition will really help my mental health. It will really help a lot of things that I'm going through. But on the other end, I wonder, what will I have to pay for that on Judgment Day?
And that's something that we definitely getting into with our next episode of Pridebuzz TV, because I think it'll be 5 of us for that discussion. Possibly we'll see how that goes. We want to talk about religion surrounding the LGBT community, so we'll get into that. Samaya, did you? Because I'm out of questions. Y'all pretty much have asked everything. Samaya, did you have another question for Skyye?
Maybe just off the top of the head, how long have you known that you're basically a male? I mean, you know, when did that, have you known since you were yay high, or did you not know what's going on?
I could tell you that from as far back as I can remember, I've always felt like anytime my parents would put me in girls' clothes, I always felt like a man in drag. As far back as I can remember, I've always been attracted to women. As far back as I can remember, I've always felt how I feel now. Of one story that I don't remember myself, but my sister does. She'll tell me that when I was 8 years old, I came to visit my pops one time for the summer, that I had come with all my hair cut off, and she asked me, you know, why did I cut my hair? And I told her because I'm a boy, or because I want to be a boy, or whatever. I don't remember the exact words she said, but that was 8 years old, and I knew back then that that was what I was.
Well, let me say this much, even though you may not look like a really hard male, but to me, you would look like a teenage male.
I get that.
A 16-year-old.
I get
that. I work with teenagers.
I get that a lot, and I don't complain at all because.
Well, you know what? Let me say you look like an 18-year-old boy, so I can scratch at your dollar.
Hey, you know what? In Texas, ain't it 16 is willing? Or is that Mississippi, Alabama?
This guy?
Y'all don't want me to put mine out.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
I'm so done. I was finna go ask a question, but I gotta regroup. Oh man. Okay, slow down. Question though, since we went there. Kids, have you ever thought about having kids? Do you want them? Do you ever, like, when it comes to children, do you ever plan to have kids, or would it be okay with you to not do either or and just potentially date someone with kids?
I prefer to date people without children. I would like to not have kids. And I'm actually talking to a girl now who has a kid. And I said after my last one, never again. But it's one of those things, when you find a person who's right for you, you take on what they have, because she's taking on so much with me being who I am and how I am. And not even just me being trans, but some of the things that are, you know what I'm saying, that I live by and how I believe. Like, I tell her the earth is flat. And I believe that, really believe that. And a lot of people will be like, you know what, I ain't got time for the craziness. But she deals with it. I tell her I don't celebrate holidays. A lot of people, especially with children, they're not with that because they want Christmas and Easter for their kids. She's with it. So
Well,
I don't
you don't
personally
believe the earth is flat. Let's argue. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, hey, just because you believe the earth is flat and I believe it's round don't mean that we can't still love each other. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But
it just shows individuality, and that you don't let people just, you don't take everything just because it's in a book. Not saying I agree with you either, but you have to pretty much figure it out. You are like a hands-on kind of person, and you ain't gonna believe it until you see it for yourself. We're gonna have to get you a flight to the moon or something so you can check it out.
NASA will tell you we've never been to the moon. They will tell you, not on purpose, it slipped, but they'll tell you we ain't been to the moon, and I know that to be fact.
Ooh, you know, let's make that another episode.
It's proof in the pudding, baby. It's proof in the pudding. You gotta see it to believe.
Is it vanilla or is it chocolate though?
Hey.
Well, all right. I think that at this point we should go ahead and wrap up the episode. I think that Skye's kind of pulled his heart out to us, and It is what it is, but Skyye will be joining us for future episodes of Pridebuzz TV moving forward. So this is pretty much an introductory episode to meet Skyye Rodriguez. So it's so nice to have you join the panel moving forward with the four of us. It's great because now we have more of a family vibe going on here. So
hey, can I shout myself out on social media real quick?
yes, you can certainly do so.
All right, everybody follow and add me on Facebook, Skyye Rodriguez, Instagram _Skyye PCR_. And I don't know, if you get on one of them two, you'll find me on everything else too.
Awesome. All right, so closing out this episode, let's end it. I'm CJ.
I'm Skyye.
I'm Princess.
And I'm Samaya.
All right, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Pridebuzz TV. We'll see you for the next one. Y'all have a good night.